is Making Stitches, and this time my guest is Justine Robson, the person behind the Carry On Crafting Festival, something which literally started out as a dream and in the space of just a few years has grown into a really large event.
I can remember I did have a moment. I came out of there's a big brick toilet block that's kind of fabulously situated right where we need it at the festival, and I came out last summer and I just looked. You're kind of halfway in the middle of the festival, and I just looked and I stood there and I did do a little swear, which I won't do, and I just kind of went, oh, this is really big. And I had a little moment where I went, oh, I had to have a little word with myself, and then I carried on because you don't see it, you're putting it up and you're making sure everyone's okay, and did this turn up, and are the caterers here, and so you don't really get chance to stand back and go, oh my God, look at it. You really don't, because it's so quick. But I did have that moment of just going, oh, it's quite big, and it's even bigger this year. So yeah.
Hello and welcome to Making Stitches podcast. I'm Lindsay. I'm a lifelong crafter and a former broadcast journalist. Making Stitches podcast gives me the chance to do two of the things I really love: chatting to fabulous creative people and sharing their stories for you to enjoy. This time, my guest, Justine Robson, speaks about how creativity has been a constant thread throughout her life, and how after a nervous breakdown it helped her create a new way of life and career. From learning to crochet crazy chickens to creating the kind of craft festival she'd love to visit, and taking on the role of custodian of the Little Box of Crochet from its founder Amanda Bloom. I'm sure you'll really enjoy hearing Justine's story. I started our chat by asking about her earliest creative experiences.
Oh, that's a long way back. Are you sure you want to dig that far back? The Précy version of very early days was, I think it was very clear from really early on that I was probably going to be artistic in some way. I was the one that was caught, drawing all over the walls when I was little and things like that. And my parents were brilliant, but I'm sure I got told off occasionally. But I think it was very clear, and all through school and everything, it was always the arts that I kind of wanted to go to. I've got a degree in graphic design, so that was the route I was going down. But at the time, I was very... I used to do a lot of very realistic portraits, drawings, things like that, which took me down the graphic design route. But it was just at the time when everything was going digital. And so most graphic design was then being done on computers and stuff, which that wasn't the route I wanted to go down. I'm very hands-on. I didn't want to, be computerized and everything. So my kind of way of doing graphics and things like that was kind of classed as old hat then. And then I kind of disappeared into the catering world and just did things for fun. And then I ended up working in finance, which all of my friends at school were kind of like, sorry, what? I was the one that got a D in my maths, and there's me ending up in finance. And sadly, what happened, sadly in a way, but in a way it saved me. I had randomly out of the blue, or what I thought was randomly out of the blue, I had a nervous breakdown and didn't see it coming, didn't know, thought I was fine. And I literally came home one day, it was a Saturday. I can remember that Ant and Dec were on the telly. I can remember it vividly. And I was lying on the sofa, my other half was cooking dinner, and I had a massive panic attack, but I'd never had one before. My partner's a first aider, and even he thought I was having a heart attack. It was really bad. Anyway, I ended up in hospital, and that was the start of it. So it literally just happened. I'd been working all day. I was absolutely fine. And just, yeah. And I pretty much ended up spending about 6 months literally in the dark. I didn't leave the house. I became agoraphobic. It was weird. It was very, very weird. And it took me a long time to recover. I really did miss my job. I went back for about a month and then just went, I can't do this anymore. I missed it, was really excited to go back, and then was just like, my body's just like, no, you're not doing this. So I quit working in the city in finance, and my poor partner, bless him, just looked after me really for quite a long time. And then I went back to my roots, and he built me a craft room at the end of the garden. And I just started going back to being creative, really, to just get my noggin back in order. And my mum had taught herself how to crochet. She's a knitter. She'd retired. And I built her a Facebook page. And she started selling crochet. So this is like, this must be 12, 13, 14 years ago now. And then a friend of ours was opening a tea room in Worthing, where me and my mum were living at the time. And she wanted to sell crafts in there. So she was crowdfunding for it, and she was selling, as part of the crowdfunding, like shelf space. And so me and my mum pledged for a whole kind of rack of shelves. And I said to mum, look, we'll put all your crochet in there. And at the time I was doing a lot of upcycling, and I was making paper crafts and cards and things. And I said, no, I'll beef it out with some of my stuff. Never thought much about it. And mum's crochet, we did really well in the shop, but mum's crochet went crazy. And then she turned up at my house one day and was like, she was making these crazy chickens, and they were just going out the door quicker than she could crochet them. So she turned up and she said, you're going to have to learn how to crochet. And she'd got a hook at the bottom of her bag and some old yarn that was really splitty, which now I know it's Natura, which is beautiful yarn. But when you're a beginner, not so great. So she kind of hurled this at me, spent 20 minutes showing me what to do, and then said, right, I've got to go. You'll just have to watch YouTube, and then promptly left. And so I spent, obviously I had the time, but I spent like 2 days solidly. The room was fairly blue. I think my hook got thrown a few times. But at the end of the 2 days, I learnt and made one of these crazy chickens. In fact, he's here. Let me grab him. I know everyone can't see him, but you can see him.
I can. Oh, that's fantastic. So it's like an amigurumi cone with little chicken legs.
It's an amigurumi cone. It looks a little bit like a Wallace and Gromit. It's got that sort of feel to it.
Yes,
but
definitely.
This is the actual one that I made.
So made that?
So I made that after 2 days.
That's amazing.
Of learning how to craft. Bearing in mind that I literally was doing it 24 hours over those 2 days. But this one we kept, because you can see all the mistakes in it. I mean, it's terrible. But that was my first one. And then I started helping mum, and I was doing more crochet. And then the lady who ran the shop said to us, do you want to run classes? And my mum said, yeah, I can do that. And I said, oh, well, I'll help you. And then in the end, what happened was my mum ended up moving away. And so I took over the classes, and that's how it started. So it honestly was a pure fluke in a way. It may have happened at some point. But the planets definitely aligned, not in a great way.
No.
I would have rather have not had the nervous breakdown. But then, maybe if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be where I am now. So you don't know, do you? Yeah. So that's really how it started.
That's remarkable, really. I mean, it does... when I look back at my life and things have happened to me, and you think, maybe there is a reason why certain things happened, and you ended up doing... You don't see it
at the time, do you?
Absolutely
not. You see it later.
Absolutely. And I'm just blown away at making that chicken after 2 days of crocheting. That's remarkable.
And then it just spiraled from there, really, because then, unfortunately, the cafe closed. And so I said to my partner, I don't know what to do. And he said, well, you're going to have to run the classes here. And bless him, he let me, not that I had to ask his permission, but it does take over your house when you have people coming to class in it all the time. And we've been running the classes ever since. So that's got to be 8-10 years we've been running the classes at the house. And so all with everything else that I do now, we still run the same classes, the same times that we've run them for the last 8-10 years.
Oh, fantastic. And so is it the same people that are coming and are becoming more advanced?
Yeah, I used to run beginners classes, but now we built such a fabulous group of people, and bless them, they just come. I mean, I don't think they need my help anymore. They say they do. I think they come for tea and cake, if I'm honest. But we have a lovely time, and they come every week. And I started after we started running the classes from home. I thought maybe it would be a good idea to run a retreat. And so we picked somewhere that's only about 40 minutes away from where we are, because a lot of the ladies that come are mums, and so they've got commitments. So it's far enough away to where you won't get asked too many questions, but it's close enough that if there's a drama, they could come home. So we found this big house, and we ran our first retreat, I think it was 5-6 years ago now, and now I run 8 a year. And I do a whole week in Cornwall as well. So we do a week away, and then we do weekend retreats. But again, people say, oh, I really want to come on your retreat. You can't get in because it's the same people, bless them. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am without them. It's the same people that come every year. But now, we've got the festival, we've got Little Box of Crochet, and we're opening the shop. It's I don't have time to put on. People are like, can you put on another retreat? And I'm like, no. And Chloe's here with me today, and she's shaking her head going, no more. We cannot do any more. So yeah.
Well, clearly you're doing the right thing if it's the same people that keep coming back again and again, and you've got that loyalty with the people that come to your classes and everything. It's a winning formula.
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, when people come to our festival, they are all the volunteers are the people that come to all the retreats and come to the classes. They've become my friends, and they're amazing. And they'll shoot me for saying this, but there have been times, now that we've got the 3 businesses, there have been times where I'm like, I don't know if I can run the retreats anymore in my head. And then I've gone, but you know what? Without those people, I probably wouldn't be where I am now. And I love the retreats. It's not for lack of love or anything. It's just that we do so much that sometimes it'd be nice to breathe and sleep. But I won't, just in case they will be listening to this podcast, I won't, okay? I'm not giving the retreats up. I'm just letting some thoughts out of my brain, but it won't happen, I promise, because they will kill me.
So, I mean, running retreats is one thing, but putting on an entire festival, that must be quite a logistical undertaking.
Yeah, and it's... It's one of those things. Chloe's giving me the look. If only you could see her face right now. Chloe's somebody else that I couldn't live without. So I taught Chloe to crochet. She's one of the gang. And then, sorry, I've completely gone off on a tangent, but I have to say this. And then a few years ago, Chloe emailed me and said, you haven't got any jobs going, have you? And at the time, I couldn't afford her. And I said no. And she said, oh, I really don't like my job. And I love to come and work with you. And then I don't even know if it was a year. Was it a year later? Was it earlier than that? It was less than a year. I emailed her and I went, yeah, you're on. So she started working with me part-time, and then she quit a job and came with me full-time, and now she can't ever leave. That's it now. It's like, what do you mean you're sick? No, you have to come in. I need you. So yeah, Chloe's my right-hand lady, I should call her.
Fantastic.
She's not a lady. But yeah, one day, honestly, I did have, I think ever since, because I'm from the Midlands and I came down here, my sister had moved down to Brighton, and I met my partner down here. So in the end, I ended up moving down here. But we've got the NEC in Birmingham, and there were always huge craft shows at the NEC, very clinical, but you know, the big craft shows that you go to and you see all the new gadgets and everything. And when I came down, they used to do one on Brighton Seafront at one of the hotels, I can't remember. And then not long after I was down, a few years, that stopped. And there didn't seem to be anything. You had to go up to the O2, you know, or back up to Birmingham or whatever. And crafting really kind of took a nosedive. And then when me and my partner moved to Worthing, and the whole crafty, you know, I started crocheting and everything, I kept saying to him, I said, they're missing a trick here. And I don't mean a craft fair. The South Coast have amazing artists. And craft fairs where you go and buy things that they've produced, yes, they do that brilliantly down here. But there was nowhere where you could, you know, buy the latest gadget, or, you know, watch somebody doing something, so then you would buy that product, you know, that kind of thing. And I kept saying to Andy, they're missing a trick. And he said, you should put one on. And I ummed and ahed about it and thought, I don't really know. I don't really know enough kind of suppliers, really. And anyway, we ummed and ahed about it. And then 4 years ago, I literally had a dream. And in my dream, I'd put on this festival. And it was a mixture of, Andy and I used to love going to Glastonbury, but we would spend at least 1 or 2 days in the craft field because there was so much to do, and we loved it. You can still hear the music and everything. So it was a little mixture of that. Then you'd got Kirsty Allsop's Handmade Fair, which I used to love going to, and that to me was great because you got to buy the stuff, you got to do some classes, but there were small businesses there that were selling their products. So to me, it was a great combo. But then once COVID hit, those disappeared and she stopped doing them. And I just kind of thought I wanted to do something that was a combo. And I'd obviously had this dream. And I woke up, I said to Andy, I'm going to put on a craft festival. And he was like, okay, how is this going to happen? I was like, I don't know. I said, but I want it to be for small businesses, you know, because I'd been asked to go and have a stall at Kirsty Allsop's to teach crochet. And when I found out the price, I was like, there's no way I could have recouped that money. And I get that also it's a huge advertisement. You know, if you're going to go to something like that, it's not only about the sales. But I was kind of like, what am I advertising? I couldn't fit anybody else. I couldn't do any more retreats. I was not really selling crochet, you know, as a product. I didn't write patterns and stuff then. Well, I did, but I didn't sell them. And people aren't going to come to class in Worthing from something that's on, you know, up in London. Mm. So to me, it wasn't worth it. It was amazing to be asked, but it wasn't worth it. So I wanted to put on a festival that it wasn't too much money for them, but then also you could have a go. You know, you weren't just buying stuff. You could sit down and have a go at something new, or you could buy some raw materials. But I also wanted them to camp. I wanted it to be a festival. I wanted them to be immersed in it all weekend. And really it was, and it still is, it's an adult event, really. It's an event. Don't get me wrong, we don't say no children, but the classes aren't designed for children. We have families that come during the day, but they don't camp. I wanted it to be a weekend where adults could get away and have a couple of vinos, meet some make some new crafty friends, and have a go at other crafts, or just hang out with all your crafty mates doing whatever you do, and take in the atmosphere and, you know, that kind of thing. So that was the idea. And in year one, I didn't know where I was going to do it. I couldn't find anywhere to do it. So I had to learn about putting on a festival. And at this point, there was only me. Andy was still at work. Chloe wasn't with me then, so it really was just me. And I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. So I tried to find some land. If you took private land, you weren't allowed to open it to the public. So you couldn't have day ticketers.
Right.
If you had public land, it cost you an absolute arm and a leg. And then somebody, bearing in mind I'm obviously not from this area, then somebody said to me, have you tried the South of England showground? And I'm like, that sounds very big. So anyway, of course, I Googled it, and this place is huge. And I was like, God, they're not going to want my little craft fair there. But anyway, I went and I spoke to them, and we booked 2 of their fields. So I had the dream in September. In November, I booked the venue, and we opened the following July.
Wow.
So, and we had 5 classes. I think we had 35 stalls, something like that. And there was food and everything. And I don't know how many campers. I'd have to look it up. I don't know. And that was it. That was year 1. We're now in year 4. We have over 600 campers. We have over 150 stalls. We have over 50 classes. There's now entertainment. We now have movie night. There's a disco. We have Dawn Gracie comes, and she's a performer. She sings. We have music in one of the other fields. So it's we have aerial aerobics, not aerial aerobics, aerial performances, and she teaches aerial acrobatics.
Wow.
I mean, it's crazy, and we're only in year 4. So it's, yeah.
You could reach
So
Glastonbury yet.
It was all from a dream, a crazy dream that I had.
That is remarkable. But to turn it around in such a short period of time, from that dream in September to, 10 months, and it was real.
It was, yeah. I think all the girls that come to class thought I was mental, and I think Andrew definitely thought I was losing it. And, year 1 was amazing, but it was awful at the same time. Mm. I mean, if things were going to go wrong, trust me, they went wrong. It is not easy putting on a festival, pulling it off, making sure everyone's happy. I mean,
yeah.
But there was enough people that enjoyed it that made me do it for a second year. And now we do 2, because we do a Christmas one as well, on a much smaller scale, same venue, but indoors. So we do a Christmas one, so we actually run 2 a year. But yeah, this year will be our biggest one to date.
Wow, that's remarkable, really. You must feel so proud to have achieved that. Because that didn't exist until you came up with that idea.
Yeah, and it's I do, but I don't. Trust me, it's really hard work. So I do appreciate it, but it's not until the event when people come up to you and they go, oh my God, this is the highlight of my year. I can't, I so look forward to it. And I mean, from last year, we released tickets last year on the Saturday night, wasn't it, of the festival, and camping pretty much sold out in a week. So, I mean, to me, okay, so we're not Glastonbury, there's not hundreds of thousands of camping tickets. But to me, we were like, oh my God, that's like amazing. That is amazing. So it's not until those moments that I feel proud. And it's not that I don't feel proud the rest of the time, but it's a year-long job. And we're doing Little Box of Crochet as well, and we're trying to open the shop, and we run classes. So a lot of the time, it's that I don't see the wood for the trees until someone comes up to me and has that conversation, and then I go, oh yeah, that's amazing. I can remember I did have a moment. I came out of there's a big brick toilet block that's kind of fabulously situated right where we need it at the festival. And I came out last summer and I just looked, you're kind of halfway in the middle of the festival, and I just looked and I stood there and I did do a little swear, which I won't do, and I just kind of went, oh, this is really big. And I had a little moment where I went, oh, had to have a little word with myself, and then I carried on because you don't see it. You know, you're putting it up and you're making sure everyone's okay, and did this turn up, and are the caterers here, and you know, so you don't really get chance to stand back and go, oh my God, look at it. You really don't, because it's so quick. But I did have that moment of just going, oh, it's quite big. And it's even bigger this year. So, yeah. So, people keep saying we're waiting for the day that you basically have the entire showground. We've only got, the showground's huge. I don't know if you've been, it is huge. We've only got one part of it. We take up 3 fields. But, you know, I don't even think that's a quarter of the showground, if I'm honest.
Wow.
So, so that we've definitely got room to grow, let's put it that way.
You're listening to Making Stitches, a podcast celebrating creative crafts and inspiring makers. This podcast is supported by the Making Stitches shop on Etsy, where you can find Making Stitches podcast tote bags, badges and stitch markers, along with a few of my crochet patterns for sale too. Just search for Making Stitches shop on Etsy. Now back to more creative chat. When I first started this podcast 5 years ago, I interviewed Amanda Bloom about Little Box of Crochet. She featured in one of the first episodes. And
amazing.
It was lovely to see the journey of Little Box of Crochet and the handover from her to you to take it on as a new custodian of the Little Box of Crochet. How did that come about?
Well, funnily enough, if it wasn't for the festival, I don't know that it would have happened. Because what happened was there's a great Facebook group called Motorhoming Crafters, and it's generally ladies, not all ladies, but it's people that love to camp and love to craft, and it's a fantastic group. And a little spin-off of that group is run by who's now a friend of mine, Julie Letton, called Pitch Up and Stitch. And she basically created something where her and her husband love to camp, and she would pitch up to crochet, knit, whatever. And so people joined that group, and she would say, this is where we're going to be, this is the campsite, and people would pitch up and stitch. So it was a fabulous concept. I didn't really know about that, but I'd posted in Motorhoming Crafters, obviously, about the festival. And it had been picked up, and unknown to me, Julie had then posted it, or somebody in that group had posted it in Pitch Up and Stitch. And Amanda Bloom had already done some of the Pitch Up and Stitch, and so had Eleonora Tully from Coastal Crochet. And so I don't know whether they'd spoken about it, I can't remember. But then we saw all of a sudden Amanda Bloom had booked a ticket to our festival. And so I did a little bit of, Google searching, because I was thinking it can't be Little Box of Crochet Amanda Bloom. And it was Little Box of Crochet Amanda Bloom. And then Eleonora contacted me and said, look, you're really near to me. I see you're putting on this event. Can I get involved? Can I help? Can I do anything? And all of a sudden we were like, okay, this is crazy. Amanda Bloom's coming. And now Eleonora Tully wants to be involved. And we're just like, what's going on? So we were, obviously over the moon. And that was our first year. And Eleonora did a talk, which was great. And she brought all her blankets and everything. And Amanda ended up, because she had wound down LBC by then, and she was kind of deciding whether she wanted to sell it or just kind of let it just be. She was thinking about Cozy Life, which was the kind of the other business that she started. And so she came and she then contacted me and said, would it be okay if I, sold some past boxes and some of the stuff that I've got? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And then we kind of got chatting, and then unknown to me, she apparently was kind of looking at what I'd done and, my pages and things like that. And then we sat down at the festival and she said, I really want to chat to you. And I was like, yeah, and we managed to find 10 minutes. And she was telling me about Little Box of Crochet and how it was winding down. And I knew her, obviously, and I knew the story and I knew LBC. And she said, and I've been looking for the right person if I wanted to sell it on, to bring it kind of back to life. And she said, I think I found someone. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. I'm so pleased for you. And I went, oh, who is it? And she went, you plonker, thinking I would have worked out it was me. And I sat there and was like, hey, shut up. Are you joking me? She was like, no. Why do you think I'm here? So we had this whole conversation, and that's what happened. So, had I not come up with the mad idea about the festival, that probably wouldn't have happened, because Amanda's not going to know who I am. So yeah, that's how it came about. So it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy.
Amazing. And how is it going, Little Box of Crochet?
It's great. I'm not going to lie. It's hard taking over from something that, Amanda's got very loyal followers, and obviously they followed her through that very difficult journey that she had. And that's the essence of LBC, because it came about because of her and Jenny, so that was deep rooted in it. But what we've tried to do, or what I've tried to do, is I've tried to make it my own, because that's not my story. Yes, without that, LBC wouldn't be around, and Amanda obviously did a fantastic job, and it ran and ran. But now it's got to have a new story, because it's ours now, and I need to build that story, if that makes sense. But the clientele are just lovely. It's madness. I can see, you've got to find the designers, and you've got to find the products, and you're doing a different design every month and a different design on the box. So it is full on, but it's fun full on, because there's always hiccups. The box company, something happens, or a delivery doesn't arrive, and when you're doing something monthly, all of that has to come together for you to be able to do it. And I think, and I know Amanda probably had this as well, I think sometimes people forget that there's me and Chloe, and sometimes people think, there's a big company behind this. No. We're sitting here literally packing the boxes and doing the designs and ordering the stuff. But without that, loads of things wouldn't have happened. So it's been another learning curve, but it's been a fabulous one. And so to have that, and we've wanted to open a shop for ages, but I think now we've got the festival, and we've got LBC. To us, to some people they might go, that's crazy, but to us it makes sense, because we need to get out of the house. We're at home now, me and Chloe. This is our office. This is also the classroom. My other half would love his house back. So the shop, our offices will be upstairs, and then we can run all the businesses from the office. But we've created such a large crafting community now. And a lot of the ladies that come to class, they already buy all their yarn from me, because I sell it to them. I just don't sell it to the public yet. So all of that we're already doing. It just makes total sense to us to just do it on a bigger scale. And then obviously that opens up more doors for us, because more people will find out about Little Box of Crochet, more people will find out about the festival. So it all just interlinks. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So I know for some people they're like, oh my God, now she's opening a shop. But actually, it's going to make life easier for us. I know that sounds weird, but it will do, because everything will then have a hub, and it will have its place. And that shop is going to be, so much more than a shop, because we're going to have, obviously I'll continue to run classes, but they'll be at the shop. But we can sell past Little Box of Crochet boxes there. We can have people like Eleonora and whoever down here come in, and they can run classes. Now that we've got all the people that run classes at the festival, they can run classes at the shop. we're having a little coffee bar in there, because we also want it to be a place where it's not a coffee shop, don't get me wrong, but we want it to be a place where if you want to come and have a knit and natter with your mate, you know, and buy a coffee and look at all the yarn and have a little gab and, you know, look at the latest inside crochet or whatever, we want that to be a hub as well. We want it to be a place where people can come and hang out and feel crafty and see what classes are going on. And so it's not just a shop, you know, it's going to be a lot more than that. And we want to, you know, keep that community that we've got, but just add to it and kind of give them all a place where they can come and hang out.
That sounds amazing. Such exciting times ahead.
It is. I mean, Chloe probably needs to sleep at some point, but I said to her, not till next year. Once we got the shop up and running, then you can have a nap. But at least we, you know, for all else, at least we have a laugh, don't we? I mean, me and Chloe get on really, really well. My other half's a loon, and he now works for us. You see, without Little Box of Crochet, my partner's been a teacher for over 30 years. So without Little Box of Crochet and the other things, we wouldn't have been able to retire him so he could come and work with us. So he runs the warehouse and he does all of that. So it means that, you know, okay, there's the three of us really. But all of that put together, it's still insane and we're still like running on fumes, but we're getting there. And what we're building seems to be what people like. And that's what we want. We just want to... We want to make people happy. And I think after lockdown, crafting had such a resurge because everyone was stuck at home. And it's not for old people anymore. You know, crocheting especially used to be classed as what your nan did. And we've tried to ride that wave and give people what they want, really. And fingers crossed, we're getting it right.
Oh, that's amazing, Justine. Thank you so much for sharing your story with me. It's been absolutely
welcome.
Fascinating. I've loved hearing all about your adventure.
It's been a pleasure. Well, now you've got to come to the festival.
Oh, God, I'd love to.
Come and hang out and have some vinos with us.
That sounds like a plan. Oh, thanks so much.
I want to thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me, because it's, you know, it's an absolute honour. And also, you know, you inviting me makes me feel proud, because then I'm like, well, somebody wants to hear our story. So, you know, so thank you.
Oh, it's been my absolute pleasure. Thank you for saying yes. Well, that was fun. I really enjoyed my chat with Justine, hearing all about her crochet adventure and where it's led her. If you'd like to hear more about Justine's work, including Little Box of Crochet and the Carry On Crafting Festival, you can find a link to her website in the show notes for this episode. My thanks to Justine for taking the time to speak to me for Making Stitches podcast, and thank you too for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with anyone who you think would like to hear it too. And if you have the time, please leave a nice rating and review on your podcast app. That way more people will be able to find out about Making Stitches podcast in future. That's all for this time. I'll be back again in 2 weeks with more creative chat for you to enjoy. Until then though, do take care of yourself and enjoy your crafting.